YouTube if you're tuned in there, or on any one of our social media platforms, or in fact on the WhatsApp number that you're seeing flashing on the screen. Just tell us what your name is if you haven't already, and tell us what counter you want to buy. We'll only take one counter or one stock per person. We've got a question coming from Megha from Bengaluru. She's asking about Tejas network at the current level. Kunal, what's the view here? And just a quick reminder to both the experts also, do keep your answers as short as possible.
Stock is doing pretty well. Last 3 months, it's risen from 200 to 495, 490, where the stock is currently trading. So looks attractive. Short-term charts as well as the medium-term charts are recovering quite well. Would suggest that if you've already bought the stock, you should continue to hold on.
Okay, this one is from Srinivas Rangaraju saying he has 20 ICICI Lombard shares which he's bought at an average price of 1600 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should hold or sell. He's a long-term investor. What's your take, Sharmila? What should Srinivas do with his holding in ICICI Lombard?
It's the price he's bought at. In any case, I think this is a stock that he can continue to hold. Overall, this is a sector that I'm quite bullish on, so my advice would be to hold.
Okay, the next one's also for you, Sharmila, and this is coming in from Ray. He's asking about the textile space, and a lot's been said in the recent past, right, about textiles because of moves made by the government to bolster the sector. He's specifically asking about which one you would pick for the long term, and would Welspun be a good one to consider?
Consider Welspun because they do have their exposure to overseas. They export quite a bit, and in between they did have that issue to do with Egyptian cotton, etc., which has gotten sorted out, and they sort of supply to a lot of the major chains overseas. Overall, this is a sector that is sort of under recovery because it's been, there have been a couple of sectors which have underperformed over these last 7-8 years, and textile has been one of them. They've got a sort of a new hope because of this whole PLI, etc. But we need to see how those things pan out. But where Welspun is in terms of the way their business is doing, as well as their recovery, as I'm saying, from their old issues, it seems like a reasonable price to buy into Welspun.
Okay, this one is from Chaitanya. He's saying he's bought Canara Bank for positional trade at 155 rupees per share with a target of 177 rupees per share. He's saying today the price touched his target. So he wants to know whether he should exit, or is there any upside left in the near term? And if so, what sort of a target should he look at? What's your take, Kunal, on Canara Bank? What sort of a target should Chaitanya look at? And do you think that it makes sense for him to exit if not hold on for the longer term, for the near term?
I think first is if your targets which have been met, and those are very good targets, almost 22 rupees from your purchase price of 155 have been met. So I think that's a good level to take out profits over here. So now the question is whether you take out full profits or you take out 50% of the profits. That depends on whether you have any other better stock to try and look at as a fresh trading idea. Now, particularly for Canara Bank, I think it's a stock which is going through a recovery process. It's just staged the first level of a breakout for itself. The last 3 days, the stock has managed to make a pattern of higher highs and higher lows. That's also an encouraging signal coming out for Canara Bank. So purely in terms of trend, I would expect that the stock should continue to move up higher. But then I think a better strategy for you, since you've already bought at lower levels, is to try and have a trailing stop loss mechanism and at least book partial profits over here.
Okay, coming back to you, Kunal, on NMDC, we've got Dr. Gopesh from Trishur, who's asking about the counter he's gotten at levels of 185. He says that he can put in another 50,000. He's looking for the next 6 months or so. Should he do so?
Well, I guess yes. I think it's a good level to try and chip into NMDC. The stock is going through a corrective phase from 200, 205 towards 140, where the stock is trading. So it's a good sizable 30% odd correction for NMDC, which is shaped up. So I think it's a good level to try and chip in. The stock is also trading near its 200 moving average. So good level for you to average out and hold on to it for at least the next 6 months to 9 months. This commodity / metal cycle, I think, is here to stay for a long time.
Alright, so this one is coming from Sagar and he wants view on Torrent Power and Tata Power. He's saying these are the only two stocks that he has, power stocks that he has in his portfolio. He has around 2,200 shares of Torrent Power, which he bought around at 135 rupees per share about 6 to 7 years ago, and bought 10,000 shares of Tata Power at around 52 rupees per share. So he wants to know whether he should continue to hold on to them for the longer term. Sharmila, either Tata Power or Torrent Power, which of these counters look good, or both of these counters look good? So should Sagar actually hold on to it for the longer term?
I think he's one of those, perhaps not too many people making such a big profit in power. He obviously bought when things didn't look so good for the sector, and he seems to be making good amount of money on both the stocks. Between the stocks, I prefer Tata Power. Overall, I think the way they are talking of diversifying into EV as well as their existing power book, etc. But I think both have sort of plus points to recommend them, and he's bought at very attractive levels. So I think he can continue to hold the stocks. Maybe he can get a sort of a level from Kunal, some level if they go below that, sell. But as of now, I think I'm quite comfortable hold. I would be quite comfortable recommending him a hold on both.
Okay, coming back to you then, Zee Entertainment is a counter, Sharmila, that's been in focus in the recent past for various reasons, investor activism being just one of them. Of course, there's the Sony deal to also consider. We've got Madan who's gotten at levels of 180. What should Madan do? Should he hold on?
So once again, wow, and congratulations. And I think, yes, you can continue to hold. Because you got it at a very good level. I think you need to now just have your eyes on the news flow, because this thing could swing either way. Because the latest development, of course, has been that investors asked NCLT to take the matter up with Zee as to why they haven't had an EGM date. So where things stand today is that the largest shareholders, Invesco and the fund from China, they want certain changes in the board. They want Mr. Puneet Goenka to go, etc. And on the other hand, Zee has said that Mr. Puneet Goenka is vital to the Sony deal going through. So there is a bit of a standoff, on that issue between the parties. And let's not forget that Sony is not like a done deal yet. They have like a 90-day period or whatever in which they have to make up their minds. So it's a very interesting situation that they find themselves in, because obviously if they were to go to Sony, then it could mean very big things for Zee going ahead. Also, maybe the other investors have a point of view and they think that there could be another buyer maybe for Zee if things were to go their way. So the stock is very interestingly poised, So I would not really recommend a buy at this level. But since you bought it at such an attractive level, I think you need to continue to hold the stock, but definitely keep your eye on the news flow.
Okay, this one is from Muthupalani saying that he wants to know about City Union Bank. He has 7,000 shares which he's purchased at 170 rupees per share. He's saying, should I go ahead and sell and book losses on this particular counter and move to a large cap bank? What's your take, Kunal? Do you think it does make sense, right, for Muthu to shift from City Union Bank to a large cap bank, but should he book losses on this one?
So the ideology of shifting from a City Union Bank towards a large cap bank may always be appreciated, because then there's a lot of degree of safety and possibility that the stock can give you, or the large cap stock can give you at best market returns or slightly better than that. But then I think the timing of it could be a bit more tricky, because I think just the last 2 or 3 days City Union Bank has managed to sprung up into some very good volume and price action yesterday and yesterday and today. In the last 2 days, the stock has climbed up more than 10%, which means it's getting its momentum back. Your cost price is closer to 170 odd, and the stock is just around 160 mark, if I'm not wrong. So I think in that sense, you can probably look to hold on for this stock, at least for the next maybe couple of weeks. And if this momentum which you've seen the last 2 days is something to go by, then you could see the stock heading back towards that 170, 175 level. That's where I think you can probably take a more prudent call whether you want to switch from City Union Bank to some other large cap name. So as of now, would suggest a hold.
Okay. I'm guessing we have a bit of an issue in terms of feed. Or maybe it was my turn. I apologize. I've lost track. Carol's got the next question. Godfrey Phillips is the next one that she wants to talk about. Kunal, this one's for you. For the short term, is this a good one to consider?
I think yesterday Godfrey Phillips did exceptionally well. I think if I'm not wrong, it managed to hit a fresh, multi-month high for itself. The volumes were very, very strong for Godfrey Phillips. So I believe in that sense, it's probably a time that many of these underperformer stocks, the ones which had shown earlier signs of potential but somehow had gotten more sideways, are making a comeback for themselves. So it could be a good time to try and chip into Godfrey Phillips, and possibly in terms of target range, the first target which the stock can possibly go towards would be around this 1400 mark. So I would suggest a buy or a hold on Godfrey Phillips at current levels as well.
I wouldn't blame you, Alex. No doubt the weather actually makes you pretty gloomy out here. I've not seen sun for days. Luckily today there is some, so it's okay. You're forgiven for actually blanking out for a second. But I will go to this. This one also is for you, Kunal. This one is from Kaustubh. He wants a long-term view on Bajaj Auto, but he wants to know whether it's a good buy at current market price. Sorry, I'll take this one to Sharmila. Sharmila, what's your take on Bajaj Auto for the longer term? If Kaustubh wants to buy at current market price, does it make sense?
If he is a long-term investor, he can look at it. But again, once again over here, I would perhaps wait for quarter numbers to come in. And honestly, I think we have three large two-wheelers that we're talking of: Bajaj Auto, Hero Motor, and TVS Motors. At this point in time, perhaps I prefer TVS Motors the best because of the price that they are at, and again, once again, the kind of plans that they have going ahead. But of course, I don't think that you can really go too wrong in buying Bajaj Auto. So just be, I think, a little patient and try and buy it on dips. But yes, if you're a long-term investor, definitely you can invest in the stock.
Okay, this next one's for you, and Cheryl, by the way, it's always sunny where I am. This next one's for you, Sharmila. It's from Mr. Mitra, who's asking, between HFCL and Indus Tower, which one would you pick?
So I'm a little worried on HFCL for sure. I mean, I think I've been in the market too long, so I don't have great memories of the stock. But obviously, I think it's sort of re-engineered and reinvented itself. So I don't think I'm really qualified to comment over there. Therefore, between the two, I would prefer Indus Tower.
Okay, this one is for you, Kunal, and this one is coming from Bhaskar. Granules India, TVS Motor, Aurobindo Pharma wants to buy one of these stocks for intraday trade. Can you suggest one, Kunal?
Well, I'll probably suggest maybe another one specifically from intraday out of the other list of stocks. I mean, the list of stocks which you mentioned, I think other than that, you can look at maybe an L&T Finance at current levels or maybe an Ashok Leyland at current levels. Looks attractive. Both these stocks is what I've recommended earlier as well. Even ABFR, Aditya Birla Fashion, the stock which I had given today morning on the morning show, I think these stocks look attractive from a intraday trade, even from current levels.
Okay, just a pointer, we avoid taking questions on mutual funds, on allocation strategy, on ETFs also. We're looking at stock specific questions. So do hold on to those. We'll try and take those at a later date on the Money Show. I want to talk about Tata Motors for the long term, and I think we've got a number of our viewers who are asking about this. Airwin has gotten at levels of 306. Sharmila, long-term prospects, would you hold on to something like this? Would you get in at these levels?
I have really mixed feelings about this because at the end of the day, they are a global company, and there is sort of good demand for JLR products on the global level. There has been a bit of a slowdown, but the coming quarters, especially once this whole semiconductor issue sort of is put behind the auto industry, everybody will see better sales and better delivery schedules, etc. So there is reason to be positive. The only unfortunate part that happens with Tata Motors is because there are so many moving bits. If something goes wrong in some other corner, then that sort of always hits the stock price. Is what I've seen over these last 4 or 5 years, ever since they have the JLR exposure. So something going wrong in the US, something going wrong in China, something going wrong domestically with CV sales, etc. So you need to keep that in mind. It's a stock I like, but you have to have that view, therefore, that you will be invested in it for the longer term. So I think if you're willing to take all these factors into account and the various caveats I've given, you can stay invested.
This one is coming from Parvati saying she has 20 shares of KEI Industries, which is purchased at 975 rupees per share. Now it is at 922 rupees per share. Wants to hold for the short term, so wants to know whether to add some more or look to exit this counter. Kunal, KEI Industries over the shorter term, does it make sense for Parvati to stay put with this holding?
I think you can stay put over here. The stock is still into an uptrending mode. The supports for the stock is closer to 905, 906 mark. So you can probably keep it 900 as a stop loss for the trade. And I think potentially for targets, I think the markets also get into a stable uptrend mode yet again. Then possibly the stock can come back towards even 970, 975.
Let's take one more question and then we'll hit the rapid fire segment. We've got a question on IRCTC from Ramki, and he's gotten at, I think, very attractive levels. 1,400 if I'm not mistaken is what he's saying. I'm just trying to identify. Okay, that's possible. So Sharmila, he's asking about the valuations, whether they're justified at the current level, 3,800 thereabouts, and what is the sustainability?
Oh, well, what we have really seen in terms of reports coming from IRCTC is obviously, their business was very badly hit in this whole lockdown situation and people not being allowed to travel, etc. But as things have changed, they have seen, great number of bookings, and they are in that sort of a monopoly situation. So since he's bought it at such a great price, and since this seems to be, one of those open up trades which investors have jumped onto, I think he should continue to hold his position.
Alright, with that we'll kickstart our rapid fire. Both the experts know what's to be done in it, so let me get going with it directly. This one is from Dikshita. Wants to know about Hindustan Copper. Wants to know whether should buy, hold or go ahead and sell. What's your take on this one? Sharmila, Hindustan Copper, does it make sense for Dikshita to enter if she wants to enter into this counter right now?
Oh, well, I would prefer the other metal plays. I would prefer a Hindalco or Tata Steel, Jindal Steel or any of them, but I wouldn't buy them.
Kunal, a Vodafone idea at the current level for the next 6 months, would you suggest a fresh entry? Kiran wants to know.
Well, yes, I would suggest a fresh entry. In fact, this has been one of my recommendations from the telecom space in the last, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. I mentioned this at 8 levels as well. It looks attractive. Short term wise, you can look at a buy target of 15 plus and then keep on trading your surplus higher.
Alright, this one is from Prashant. He's saying he has 50 shares of SAIL which he had bought at an average price of 125 rupees per share. Wants to know whether he should add some more at current levels or look to buy some other counter like Tata Power for October. What's your take, Kunal? Add some more of SAIL for Prashant?
Well, I think you should look to add some more, but specifically I think wait for levels of 110. That's a much better support level for SAIL, and that's where I think could be a good risk reward entry point for you.
Sharmila, from the unlock trade, which one would you suggest? We've got RK or Ahuja who's asking about multiplexes, airlines, hotels, that kind of stuff. Would you suggest 1 or 2 names that they can get into?
Not a multiplex, but within the airline space, I like SpiceJet. Within the hotel space, I like Indian Hotel, Ease My Trip, and I think we've spoken of IRCTC.
Alright, this one is coming from Anup Gowda. Wants a short-term view and target for AU Small Finance. Bought it at 1,175 rupees per share. What's your take, Kunal?
I think looks attractive for a bounce. 1275 could be an immediate target for the very short term, and stop loss you can keep it closer to 1145 now.
Okay, thank you so much to the both of you, Kunal as well as Sharmila, for all your patience and for answering the number of queries that you did answer today. And to everybody who has written in and who hasn't had their query answered, apologies for that. We've tried to accommodate as many as possible. We're bound by time constraints, of course. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that this has benefited you somehow, even if your query has not been answered. We're slipping into a short break, but more on the other side, so do stay tuned.
This is Simi's father. Tying a braid is tough for him. But investing in stocks with Upstocks, easy. Now buy and sell stocks easily on your